Imagine standing barefoot on a beach. Your toes sink into the warm surface, but just below, the heat gives way to coolness, sand untouched by the sun. But is it really just sand all the way down? Or is there a hidden world beneath those countless grains? Scientists at the University of Hawaii once estimated that Earth's beaches hold around 7.5 quintillion grains of sand. That's a 7 with 18 zeros after it. It sounds infinite, and yet not all sand is the same. Some grains are shaped by oceans, where others by desert. And those differences matter much more than you might think. Today, we'll uncover the surprising truths about sand, what it really is, how it forms, and what lies beneath it, from ancient lakes and buried forests to the bedrock of Earth itself. Within this video, we'll answer the bigger question. If sand is so abundant, why and how are we already running out? Pick up a handful of beach sand and let it slip through your fingers. What you're holding isn't just dust from the sea, it's the end of an ancient journey. Each grain once belonged to something larger. The granite bones of a mountain range, the skeleton of a coral reef, or the shell of a living creature. Rain, rivers, and waves broke them down fragment by fragment until only the hardest minerals survived. Quartz, feldspar, tiny pieces of carbonate. Carried to the shore, the ocean takes over. For thousands of years, waves act like a giant tumbler, grinding, smashing, and polishing the fragments until they are smooth and uniform. That silky feel between your toes is the result of relentless erosion, a process so slow we barely notice it. Every grain is a time capsule. Some began their story hundreds of kilometers inland, weathered from a cliff face long vanished. Others are the remains of shells crushed under breaking surf. Together, they tell the story of landscapes eroded away, of reefs built and broken, of animals that lived and died. Now compare that to the sands of the desert. Here, there are no waves to do the grinding. The work is done by the extremes of the desert itself. By day, the sun can heat exposed rock surfaces to over 70 degrees Celsius. At night, with no clouds to trap the heat, the temperature can plummet close to freezing. This constant cycle of expansion and contraction puts rocks under enormous stress. Over time, they crack, splinter, and break apart into smaller fragments. The wind then takes over. Gusts sweep these fragments across barren plains, lifting the lighter ones into the air and pushing the heavier ones along the surface. Over centuries, the grains are tumbled against each other, polished smooth and carried into vast dune fields. Unlike beach sand, which contains sharper edges that lock together, desert grains become rounded, uniform, and glassy. They look beautiful under the microscope, but that perfection makes them useless for construction. They simply do not bind together. It's one of the strangest ironies of modern life. The deserts of the world contain more sand than we could ever imagine, yet it's the wrong kind. That's exactly why Dubai, a city rising in the middle of the Arabian desert, imports millions of tons of river and beach sand every year to make concrete for its skyscrapers. Towers of steel and glass built on foundations of sand. If you've ever dug a hole by the shore, you'll know how quickly the sand turns damp. That is the water table, the point where groundwater lies hidden just beneath the surface. It isn't seawater alone, it's part of a vast, unseen network of underground reservoirs that flow beneath the land. Dig deeper, and the sand becomes denser, heavier, and harder to move. Then, eventually, your spade would strike something solid. that is bedrock, the true foundation beneath the shifting layers above. Depending on where you are, it could be granite forged in fire, limestone laid down in ancient seas, or basalt from long cooled lava flows. This rock can be hundreds of millions, even billions of years old. When you sit on a beach, gazing out to the horizon, you're really sitting atop the bones of the earth itself, ancient rock cloaked in a thin skin of sand. In 2010, scientists uncovered evidence of a lake so vast it reshaped our understanding of the Sahara's past. They called it Lake Mega Chad, a body of water that once stretched over 400,000 square kilometers, larger than the entire state of California. Elephants and giraffes roamed grassy shores, while hippos and crocodiles filled the waters. What is now one of the driest places on Earth was once a lush wetland, teeming with life. And this wasn't a one-off event. Over the past few million years, the Sahara has flipped between green savanna and barren desert again and again. The cause lies not in human activity, but in the slow rhythm of the Earth itself. Tiny shifts in the planet's tilt and orbit, known as Milankovitch cycles, which alter rainfall patterns on a continental scale. Today, only the shrunken remains of Lake Chad survive. Sand can also swallow forests whole. One of the most haunting examples is Dead Vlei in Namibia. Hundreds of years ago, this was a marshland fed by a river, where camel thorn trees reached for the sky. Then the dunes advanced, cutting off the water. The forest died, yet it never disappeared. The desert air is so dry that the trees do not rot. They remain standing to this day, their trunks blackened by the sun, frozen in place like natural sculptures. To walk among them is to see a ghost forest, a reminder that the dunes do not stand still. They march with the wind, burying life, and sometimes, centuries later, uncovering it again. In other deserts, the ground itself can suddenly give way. In Saudi Arabia's Al-Dahna desert, massive sinkholes have opened where limestone bedrock dissolved underground. With the support gone, the sand above collapsed, revealing vast caverns beneath. Some are hundreds of meters across, exposing rock layers that held fossils, minerals, and records of past climates. These sinkholes are dangerous, but they also act as windows, sudden glimpses into worlds that were sealed away beneath the sand for millennia. Sand blankets the deserts, lines every beach, and drifts across the entire ocean floor. To the human eye, it looks infinite, but it isn't. Sand is the most extracted material on Earth after water. We mine more of it than oil, more than coal. Every year, tens of billions of tons are dredged from rivers, beaches, and seabeds. Why? Because sand builds our world. It is the backbone of modern civilization, the main ingredient in concrete and asphalt, in glass windows, and even in the silicon chips that run our phones and computers. But here lies the irony. The deserts are full of sand, yet their grains are too round and smooth to use. So as cities rise higher and populations swell, industries strip away the very landscapes people depend on. Rivers in Southeast Asia are being dredged to exhaustion. Beaches in the Caribbean are vanishing, trucked away for construction. Even the seabed is scarred where machines scoop away billions of tons of sand. The damage is immense. Collapsing riverbanks, ruined fisheries, coastal erosion that pushes communities into the sea. What lies beneath sand is not just geology and history, it's a resource being consumed faster than nature can renew it. The story of sand is not only about what the earth hides, but about what humanity takes. So, what lies beneath sand? Beneath beaches, the damp reach of water table and the bedrock of the earth. Beneath the deserts, hardpan, fossils, and layers of stones from oceans that disappeared long, long ago. The Sahara holds the memory of lakes the size of nations. Namibia preserves the skeletons of ancient forests. And in Saudi Arabia, the ground itself sometimes collapses, revealing caverns hidden in the dark. Sand is more than a surface we walk across. It is an archive, a record of Earth's past, a foundation of our present, and a warning for our future. At the beginning, we asked, if sand is so abundant, why are we already running out? The truth is that in some places, we already have. Rivers stripped bare, beaches mined into disappearance, coasts collapsing as the grains that built them are carried away. We once thought sand was endless, more grains than the stars in the sky. Now we know it is fragile, and just as it hides ancient lakes and forgotten forests, it also hides the story of how we use it today, a story that will shape generations to come. The next time you stand barefoot on a beach or watch dunes roll across the horizon, remember, beneath those grains lies a hidden world, millions of years in the making, and what we choose to do with sand now will decide how much of that story remains. Thank you for watching, and subscribe to see it first for more journeys into the hidden mysteries of our planet.